welcome to Maltbox, the non-chill filtered whiskey blog. I'm Andy and this is Whiskey Review number 72. What this actually is the first of a three-part mini-series where I cover 3 whiskies under £20. And that was after I ran a little poll on Twitter just to see what you guys wanted me to do. Basically, I've got 3 that I've lined up. This is the first one and here it is. I will touch on that in a minute. Before I get started, I just wanted to kind of, what should we say, announce a little bit of an update, I guess. So, historically, I've always used a scoring scale. So, I give you a score of 85 out of 100 for a whiskey, 87, 81, 78, whatever it might be. What I'm actually doing is I'm going to change that up a bit. And I could do with your feedback, I guess, because it might not be a popular change, but I just want to give it a shot, give it a try. And what I'm actually going to do, because I suppose with, I'm shooting myself in the foot a little bit here with all my historical reviews, but I suppose historically there's a little bit of a leaning towards a 100-point scale, and you will not see too many whiskey reviews, not just my own but others, giving scores below, say, 80. And I want to sort of flip that on its head a little bit, like quite a few people do nowadays, I guess. And I'm going to use basically a 2 decimal scale between 1 and 10. So you're going to get a few 3.5s, a few 5.5s, a few 9.5s, hopefully at some point, but I doubt it. And I just wanted to introduce that scale really. And the scoring system is going to be very honest. It's going to be quite brutal in a way. And I don't really mean that in necessarily a bad way. I'd rather just be open and honest with you. Basically, like 4 out of 10, for example, isn't necessarily going to be a whiskey that you're going to put in your mouth and instantly spit out and say, Jesus wept, what the hell was that? It's going to show that, you know, it's quaffable, it's got qualities in some respects, but it's flawed in others. Whether it be price, presentation, which will include things like caramel colouring, chill filtration, general presentation such as box, bottle and basic things like that. So I just wanted to introduce that really. So this is going to be the first 3 reviews going forward where I use that. And I'm actually quite excited to try it, mix it up a little bit, flip things on its head a little bit. I'm kind of interested to see myself what I come out with a couple of the bottles that I already have on the shelves and ones that I'm going to be buying going forwards. Because I might be quite surprised. I might think, Jesus Christ, this is awful. 1 out of 10. Or on the other hand, I might think, yeah, you know, it's all right. It's middle of the road. 4.5, 3.5, something like that. So yeah, decimal scoring points out of 10. There we go. Moving on. Thanks for listening. So, as I say, this is the first review of a 3-part mini-series after I put a poll out on Twitter where I said, what do you want me to review? Balblair range, 3 whiskies under 20 quid. I didn't even specify 3 malt whiskies under 20 quid, just to be clear. A supermarket malt series and something else. I kind of mixed them up a little bit because I've kind of amalgamated in some ways the supermarket malt and the under 20 quid category. And that's reflected here with this first bottle I'm going to review for you. And it is that. And that is the Glenfairn Speyside single malt no age statement whiskey from Tesco. Now this is bottled exclusively for Tesco, I believe. And they do a Speyside, they do an Isla, and they do a Highland. Now I went into Tesco's and I went to find to see what I could find. And basically there wasn't too many options because they were sold out of the Highland. The lady behind the till couldn't find the Isla in the cabinet where they were all kept. I settled on the Speyside because, in fairness, I was aiming for the Speyside anyway because I think Speyside is a little bit, I suppose, shop wide and own brand wide is generally a little bit more of a level playing field. You're going to have a couple of the usual suspects, very similar style, etc., which is kind of a good way to measure it up. So anyway, there you go. There it is out of the box. So Glenfairn Speyside single malt Scotch whisky bottled for Tesco. Now, another thing you'll probably notice today, I'm not doing myself any favours, I'm opening myself up some rat abuse. I'm not using a Glencairn today. And this is because I'm actually using a tasting glass that I used to use at the Manchester Whisky Club and the Ainsworth Whisky Club, well, I briefly ran that. And one of the reasons I'm doing it, it's basically, A, because it's clean, and B, it's still got that nice kind of tulip there. It's still, it's still good. I see very little difference between using these wine tasting glasses and my Glencairns, and basically I can smash a couple of these and I'm not bothered. They're about 13 quid, 14 quid for a box of 12, as opposed to Glencairns, which are like say about like 6 quid each. So as you can probably see in the glass there, coupled with this, just to be honest, there's so much E150 caramel colouring added to this. I can't even. There's probably a shortage. Coca-Cola and Pepsi are absolutely shitting themselves, thinking, where's all our brown colouring going to come from? Tesco / Glenfairn, etc. have stolen it all. So the colour's neither in nor there. Bullshit brown, I guess we could call it. Maybe do you know what? There's no point in making one up, is there? Because it's just fake. So such is life. There we go. Now, Glenfairn. Nearly smacked myself in the face then. According to the back, it's bottled by McGregor Ross & Co, Glasgow, G2 5RG. Now, you won't have heard of McGregor Ross & Co because they're not a real bottling company, they don't really exist. If you do, however, put G2 5RG into Google Maps, some wonderment of technology, it places your pin marker on Dalmore House in Glasgow. So Dalmore House, Dalmore, it's basically Emperador, which formerly White Mackay. So there you go. This is likely bottled by the owners of Fettercairn, Jura, and in Speyside, Tam na Bhullin. And Tam na Bhullin is the only Speyside whisky distillery that Emperador own. So, just saying, Tam na Bhullin is the only Speyside whisky distillery that group of companies that operate in that one specific building actually owns. So moving on, right, so you'll see we've got some tears going down the glass there. Move my ugly mug out of the way. The autofocus is tracking my ugly mug. There are tears on there, they've gone down pretty quickly to be fair, which doesn't necessarily bode up. So, we've already said it's chock full of caramel colour. It's also chill filtered it will be chill filtered to within an inch of its life. It's not done what Aldi did on a couple of their malts a couple of years ago and proudly display the fact it's chill filtered on there. It does, however, just it's a bit like, I don't know if you've ever seen the film Dude, Where's My Car, but it just says on the front there, a rousing review there from their own product range. Sweet! Yes, excellent. Thanks for that. So chill filtered, lots of caramel colour, bottled at 40%. Yeah. So initially very, very sweet, sickly sweet, icing sugar sweet, dolly mixtures. Do you know, like, you might not get dolly mixtures in the States if you're watching from the States, I don't know, but dolly mixtures, it's really sweet, overly sweet, icing sugar. A little bit of honey, a little bit of butterscotch maybe, like Worth's Original or proper butterscotch. A little bit of butter. Quite sharp and prickly, ethanol-y in places, which is quite weird considering it's bottled at 40%. It is no age statement, so we don't know how old it is. Kind of musty. It's prickly, musty, papery, like brown paper, maybe cardboard, maybe damp fabric. There's something in there, like, I want to say it's slightly herbal, but I don't think it's herbal. I think it's kind of like cuminy, maybe, rather than herb. I think it's got sort of like cumin, maybe a little bit of turmeric instead of cumin. The kind of thing you'd normally associate with a, you know, like a Lampathia or a Madras rather than a whiskey. You know, don't get me wrong, there's a lot going on. There are, you know, I think the nose is much better than I expected. What I've not mentioned so far is that, I mean, obviously I started the review by saying it's sort of a mini-series, and basically that mini-series is whiskies under 20 quid. And this was under 20 quid, it's on offer at 18, but it's normally retails at the full RRP is 20 quid, which for a single malt, let's face it, in today's market where your standard, I say standard, a few years ago, your standard drinkers of things like your Glenfiddich 12, your Balvenie 12 Doublewood, you know, even your Glenlivet 12, they used to be able to pick those up for 20 something quid, and now you're talking 35, sometimes 40 depending on where you shop. These are the kind of things that people are having to revert to. A little bit of sherbet, again going back into that kind of prickliness and maybe a little bit of tobacco actually. It's really weird, very up and down. Again, it's quite complex for, you know, considering I wasn't expecting much from the nose, to be honest with you, but it's got a fair bit there. Might not be what you want, but it's got stuff there. Right, let's try the palate. Let's see what it's like on the palate. Try just to get air in. I don't know if you can tell from my face, people, but I'm somewhat underwhelmed. The nose is so far the best bit of this experience. There's not much going on. That was basically the equivalent of me stepping into the ring with Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder and just letting them punch me at the same time. It's not going to go well. It's going to be over pretty quick. It probably would if anybody was to punch me, to be fair. My mum, for example, or, you know, an 85-year-old man with arthritis. But there's very little that I can tell you. I am rambling for a bit because I'm finding very little to say about it. It's sweet. There was a little flicker of toffee. You don't even get to taste the toffee. You know, like Werther's Original I mentioned before. You were basically given one and you could lick it and then you had to put it back in the wrapper. There's a little bit of chocolate orange in there that is now going into the finish, I suppose. And again, more chocolate. Milk chocolate. Yeah. Just going back to the nose after tasting it, and there is still that mustiness there. That's actually more prominent now. That mouthfeel is incredibly thin. It's just so thin. I mean, there was still tears on that glass. It was, you know, alright, yeah, they're going down quite quick, but that's normally an indication that, generally speaking, you will get it with a lot of things, but you're sort of expecting a little bit of an oily spirit from seeing that, you know, something with a bit of chunk to it. And there's no chunk. There is no chunk. The chunk's gone. It's... I think that mouthfeel to whiskey is what cream and tomato soup is to the world of soup. It does a job, but it's not going to set the world alight. Toffee apple. I've already mentioned chocolate, but milk chocolate. Maybe a little bit of pecan, and then it goes into a finish which is quite short. A little bit of pepper, again with the chocolate, and I've mentioned the chocolate orange before, and that's what I'm getting. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, you can see I've got a glass of water here, and you know me, you know I normally add, to give you a bit of a comparison, a bit of water to show what it's like. I'm not going to bother. It's 40%. It's already very, very chill filtered. It's already very, very thin. I think there is a danger that if I even put a drop of water in this, that it would just disappear and turn into the finest Scottish mineral water, to be honest with you. So yeah, I mean, that's off to a bang with the first review of this mini-series, isn't it? Basically, I suppose in terms of score, I'm going to give this, on the new scale, I'm going to give this 2.5. 2.5. Yeah, I'll give it 2.5. It's 2.5 out of 10. 2.5 out of 10. If I keep saying 2.5 out of 10, it'll stick. 2.5 out of 10. And do you know what? I mean, it's. I think I already touched on it in what I said when I was rambling on, but I don't think it's going to set the world alight. Certainly not going to set the world alight. Is it the best Speyside whisky on the market? Is it balls? No, it's not. Can you do better for 20 quid for a single malt? Do you know what? I think you can. There are ones out there. Glenelgin, for example. Glenelgin, Jesus Christ. Glenmurray do their no age statement single malt at their entry point of about 20 quid now, and you can pick it up cheap sometimes when it's on offer. I'll probably take that over this, if I'm being honest with you. Much better presentation, better spirit, if I'm honest, better experience. And you know, there are a couple of other supermarket malts like that on a Lidl and Aldi. You know, I've had Lidl's Isla's quite good. Ben Bracken at £17 something. That's a bargain, that, if I'm honest with you. No age statement again, but still can't complain. So I think, yeah, I mean, overall, it's something that if you did buy, then I think, you know, if you were to buy this on the start of your whisky journey, I don't think it would be hard to improve on it and step up to that next level. A lot of people, however, will start at the supermarket aisles, and I mean, hell, even I still keep an eye on the discount aisles at Tesco's and Asda and wherever else, just to see some of the more standard things that might slip in there on sale, like your hard begs, things like that. You know, I mean, they do stock them, and sometimes they sell them off cheap, so can't knock it. Overall, yeah, 2.5 out of 10, full of colour, chill filtered. I think it's Tamnavulin. I think there's some notes in there, I reckon, personally, that I associate with, I think, is it the Tamnavulin double cask or something it's called? Something like that. Their official release is very similar, if I'm honest with you. And I did review that, I think, somewhere down the line, so I might have to Google myself and see if I did it, but don't know what I gave that now. So yeah, there we go. The new regime is in full swing, fellas. And in the next review, I can show you what I'll be reviewing. It'll be this. It's another supermarket one. This is Lidl's A Bracken blended malt Scotch whisky. I didn't go single malt, I went blended malt. Try something a bit different. So, and that's that. Thanks for watching. See you soon.